Wherever you are, whatever kind of day you've had, you're here now. So take a deep breath, let your shoulders drop, and allow yourself to simply listen. You're about to drift into another time. The mist clings low to the cobblestone streets. The city still sleeps, wrapped in silence, save for the quiet clink of iron buckles being fastened in the dark. A man awakens before the baker stirs his dough, before the sun has climbed over the monastery walls. His footsteps are heavy, but not rushed, measured, familiar. This is not a morning of surprise, but of ritual. Because for the executioner, every day begins the same way, with quiet breath, steady hands, and the weight of what must be done. Tonight, you'll follow him. Not to judge, not to flinch, but to understand. Before we begin, if your eyes are getting heavy and you're settling in for the night, feel free to let us know in the comments where you're listening from. A candlelit room, a quiet apartment, a train rocking gently through the dark. Wherever you are, you're welcome here. This is a day in the life of a medieval executioner. Chapter 1. The Morning Bell. Soft wind brushes against wooden shutters. A rooster crows once in the distance, muffled by the thick stone walls of the sleeping town. The music is sparse, slow, a low drone of a medieval hurdy-gurdy beneath it all. The day begins not with the sun, but with the bell. Low, distant, and steady. A single toll from the chapel tower. It is not for prayer, it is not for celebration, it is simply time. In a narrow chamber above the tannery, where the air forever smells faintly of leather and ash, a man sits at the edge of his cot. He does not yawn, he does not stretch. His eyes are already open. He has long since learned that dreams have no place in his mornings. He reaches for a clay basin and washes his hands with rainwater collected overnight. His touch is careful, like someone who handles glass for a living. Only, the things he handles are not glass, and they do not break, they bleed. The robe he wears is thick wool, lined with an apron of hardened leather. Once black, now browned with time. Its straps are worn from years of use and something else, something that never quite washes out. He opens a small chest. Inside, not gold, nor letters, nor holy relics, just tools, sharpened, cleaned, wrapped in linen, a whetstone, a pouch of herbs, and a single candle stub, already half spent. He lights it, not for light, but for quiet. Because in this world there are few luxuries, and fewer still for a man whose work begins when others' lives end. The faint murmur of a town waking up, distant carts, boots on stone, a dog barking once, begins to rise beneath the music he listens to the town below as he readies himself. Not with pride, not with dread, but with the same ritual one might tie their boots or fold their cloak. Because this is not a job you do with passion. It is a job you do with precision. And the first task of the day is waiting for him at the square. Chapter 2. The Walk. The streets are still quiet enough that he can hear the creak of his own boots, leather soles against worn cobblestone, each step slow, deliberate, without hesitation. He does not rush, he never does. There is a rhythm to his walk, not the march of a soldier, nor the strut of a noble, just a quiet, practiced pace, one foot after the other, one task, then the next. As he moves through the early morning fog, the town yawns awake around him. A stable door groans open. A girl pours water into a trough, glancing up only briefly before lowering her eyes. No one greets him. Not out of fear, not exactly, but out of something colder. Familiarity. They know what he is. They know what he does. And yet, they pretend not to see. He does not take it personally. Long ago, he learned that it is easier for them this way, to pretend he is not a man, but a shadow, a function, a necessity. He walks past the bakery, where the first loaves are just beginning to brown. He smells the bread. He remembers for a moment when he used to eat it warm, when his hands were clean, when his name still felt like something he could say aloud. But that was before the plague took the strong, before the war left too many with broken limbs and broken laws, before someone had to step forward and say, "I will do what others cannot." It was never meant to be a life. Just a service, just a few weeks, a way to survive. That was 15 winters ago. Now he walks these streets not as a man, but as a warning. And though no one speaks to him, he feels every glance, like the breeze against his cheek, subtle, constant, unspoken. He does not resent them. In some strange way, he pities them, because while they avert their eyes, he sees everything. The cracks in their doors, the hunger in their children's faces, the lies they whisper at night, believing no one hears. He walks alone, always alone, but never unaware. And as he turns the final corner toward the square, he exhales, steady, controlled, not with sorrow, not with pride, but with purpose. Because whatever judgment waits today, he has already accepted it. Chapter 3. The Waiting Hour. He does not enter the square just yet, not immediately. There is still time to stand, unseen, behind the chapel wall. Time to gather what little peace remains before the wait returns. There is a stone bench here, cracked, moss-covered, forgotten. It leans ever so slightly, as though the earth itself grew weary of holding it straight. This is where he sits, not to rest, but to remember. He sets down the cloth bundle that holds his tools, unwraps nothing, touches nothing, just lets it sit beside him like an old friend with nothing left to say. The wind carries the faint scent of iron from the square, not from blood, not yet, but from the irons, shackles, posts, the cold instruments of order. They are being arranged now by younger hands, apprentices, guards, faces he does not know, and they do not offer names. He prefers it that way. His eyes lift to the bell tower. The same bell that woke him will ring again soon, not to summon, but to signal, to gather, to watch. He does not fear the sound, but he listens for it all the same, like one listens for a storm, not with dread, but with respect. And in this moment, this fragile sliver of stillness, he allows himself one memory, not a gruesome one, not a regret, just a face, a boy once, young, smiling, carving wood figures beside a hearth, before the tools, before the leather apron, before the world sharpened its edges. He wonders sometimes if that boy is still inside him, or if he was traded away, piece by piece, for the quiet and coin that keeps a man fed but never full. The bell will ring soon. He stands, lifts the bundle, adjusts the straps, breathes in once, slowly, and steps toward the square, not as a man stepping into light, but as a shadow rejoining the day. Chapter 4. The Ritual. There are no cheers, no jeers, only eyes, watching, waiting. A sea of faces half shrouded by hoods and scarves, all drawn to the square by duty, curiosity, or fear. He steps into view. The crowd parts, not with panic, but with a quiet, practiced respect. They have seen him before. They know the rules. He makes no eye contact, not because he is cold, but because he must be still. Stillness, after all, is part of the ritual. At the center of the square, the platform waits. 3 wooden steps, worn smooth by time and weather. A scaffold built not for drama, but for precision. He ascends without pause. Each step echoes. A small table stands to one side, plain, unremarkable. Upon it, a cloth. Upon the cloth, his tools. He unwraps them one by one. Not hurried, not hesitant. Each blade, each strap placed carefully in its proper order. A ritual of arrangement. A prayer without words. Nearby, a priest mutters scripture under his breath. The guards shift their weight. A raven lands on the edge of a nearby roof, head cocked, unblinking. The executioner does not speak. He does not need to. His part is silence. There is a cup of water placed at his request. He sips once, then sets it down. He checks the blade. Its edge catches the light, just faintly, then disappears into shadow again. A cloth is draped over the chopping block, not for the sake of mercy, but for cleanliness, because even in death there is order. The condemned has not yet arrived. That moment is soon. But this is the moment he prepares for most. Not the swing, not the crowd, but the calm before both, where everything is in its place, where his breath is steady, where time itself feels held, just for a moment, like a candle's flame protected by cupped hands. Because once it begins, there is no pause, there is only duty, and so he waits, still, ready, like the blade itself. Chapter 5, the final moments, and then they arrive. Flanked by two guards, the condemned walk slowly, their steps uneven, as though the weight of each footfall grows heavier the closer they come to the scaffold. They are not dragged. They do not scream. It is not always that way, but today it is. Their wrists are bound with coarse rope, hands knotted before them like someone still hoping to pray. But there is no priest by their side. Only the crowd, and the man waiting above. Some in the square look away, some cannot stop looking. And among them, a child whispers to their mother, a question, maybe, or simply the word why, before being gently pulled into the folds of a cloak. The condemned climbs the steps, helped only slightly, their breath visible in the cold morning air. They are young, perhaps too young, though time has carved sharpness into their face that youth should not carry. They do not cry, they do not beg, but in their eyes there is something ancient. Not fear, exactly, but the quiet, exhausted ache of someone who has run out of futures to imagine. The executioner does not look into their eyes, not yet. He stands behind the block, hands at his sides, motionless. He listens to the rhythm of their breathing. He watches the trembling of their shoulders. He notes the way they glance upward, perhaps searching the clouds for something. A sign, a bird, a god they once believed in. A town official reads a decree. The words are familiar, the same phrases spoken 100 times before, shaped to sound like justice, polished to echo with certainty. But here, on the scaffold, words feel distant. They float above the wood like smoke and vanish before they ever reach the skin. And then, the condemned is asked for final words. There's a pause, a breath, and finally, a whisper. Not for the crowd, not for history, but for someone, somewhere. A sister, a friend, a memory with a name no one else here will know. The executioner nods once, not to judge, but to acknowledge. He steps forward now, slow and deliberate. Together they kneel. Together they face the block. And as he gently guides their head down, he does so with hands that do not shake. Because whatever the crowd may believe, this is not vengeance, this is not cruelty. This is conclusion. The last sentence of a story no one will write. And for the condemned, it is the final moment of noise before the world falls silent. The wind rises slightly. The music draws into a single sustained note. The raven calls once, then flies. Chapter 6. The aftermath. The moment passes, slipping away like mist over the river at dawn. And then the world exhales. The crowd does not disperse quickly. They stand still, shoulders slumped, faces shadowed beneath hoods and hats, reluctant to break the silence that clings to the square like cold stone. For some, the weight is unbearable, a quiet grief that is both personal and shared, mingled with relief and dread. Whispers spread softly like wind through leaves. Questions half-asked, names quietly spoken, stories begun and ended in a glance. The executioner steps down from the scaffold. His hands are empty now, but his burden remains heavy. He does not look at the crowd. He does not look at the body. He only walks, measured and slow, toward the edge of the square. Behind him, the town resumes its rhythm. But it is a different rhythm now, a heartbeat altered by what it has witnessed. And though life will go on, the baker will knead his dough, the blacksmith will hammer his iron, the shadow of the day will linger. He passes by the faces turned away, the quiet prayers whispered beneath breath, the children tugged closer to their mother's sides. He hears the unspoken thanks, the silent curses, the prayers for mercy that will never come. For the executioner, there is no relief, no redemption, only the steady continuation of duty. He returns to his small chamber, where the tools wait silently in their chest. He cleans them carefully, not to erase the past, but to prepare for the days yet to come. Outside, the bell tolls once more, calling the town to prayer, calling the world to remember, and as night begins to fall, the executioner sits alone, listening to the distant echo of footsteps and whispers. He breathes in the darkness, steady and slow, waiting for the dawn and for the day he must walk the streets once again. Chapter 7. The Quiet After. The door closes behind him with a muted thud, and the heavy weight of the day begins to ease. Not because the work is done, but because the world behind these walls is small and silent. In this quiet chamber, the tools are laid to rest, wrapped and folded as carefully as the worn cloak hung by the door. The air is thick with the scent of smoke and damp earth, the sense of survival and solitude. He sinks into a wooden chair worn smooth by years of use. His hands, steady moments ago, now tremble just slightly, as if the night carries the echoes of what daylight could not hold. Memories drift softly, faces, voices, a child's laughter, a mother's tears. They come and go like shadows dancing in the flicker of firelight. He does not seek forgiveness, he does not ask for peace. He only allows himself this moment, to breathe, to remember, to simply be. Outside, the town sleeps, wrapped in darkness and dreams. And here, within these four walls, a man who carries the weight of endings finally closes his eyes. May your night be calm and your dreams gentle. Thank you for walking this quiet path with me, for listening to a day in the life that few dare to imagine. Sleep well.